Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of One Piece live action Season 2 on Netflix. And I really enjoyed this one. So, the main bits that we kind of got were Logtown, getting into the Grand Line, dealing with Whiskey Peak and Baroque Works, before eventually kind of capping it off with Drum Kingdom, Drum Island, and bringing Chopper on board with the crew. Now, that is a good bit for 8 episodes. My biggest kind of concern is going forward of if they're going to expand the episode count or how much they're going to kind of get each kind of story into it. Now, there are certain things that you can condense and cut down with, but some of them, it's going to take a lot more finagling if they are sticking to 8 episodes. It worked here, and it worked to the first season, but I'm more seeing this, and I'm like, okay, how are we going to do the kind of rest of this? Because we could potentially do, like, Alabasta and Skypiea, 4 episodes each-ish, with about a 1 or 2 kind of buffer room to kind of get through there and what's kind of going on. We'll see, because you can't completely get rid of Skypiea because of the golden poneglyph and everything in there, and what that kind of entails. But this was a nice one. The marine aspect was a little bit more in the back seat, which I don't mind. That was mainly focused on Smoker and Tashigi. We don't really get much on Kobe and Helmeppo, so it's not too bad. Garp kind of comes in for like pretty much plot expedition. An exposition kind of dumping and trying to pretty much get Smoker from going after the Straw Hats to going after Baroque Works. So, we get off from our whole kind of bit, and they're trying to figure out what's kind of going on. Sanji being like, yeah, we need supplies. Nami's like, yeah, so let's go to Logtown. And Usopp's against it, but of course, Zoro needs swords. Everybody needs something there. And, of course, it's where... And Nami's being like, yeah, that's where Gold Roger died. And I do like how they kind of mess with the whole Gold and Gold D Roger of what kind of goes on. Correa kind of brings that up in Drum Kingdom, which is kind of funny because of how old she is. And she's able to kind of bridge that whole kind of gap. So Luffy's like, let's go there. So we get there. And they, of course, go their separate kind of ways. It's funny because Nami gives Zoro this money. He's able to get his swords, and with Tashigi's help and everything, getting the one cursed one, and the family blade from the shop owner, and comes back like, here's the money. How do you haggle to get to that kind of bit? And she's like, you still owe me money. And Zoro's like, what the fuck? Sanji getting food, and of course, he's supposed to look after Luffy, but Luffy goes on his own. Then we get one of the most interesting kind of surprises of this episode, that Bartolomeo is in here and attempts to steal from Nami, but she's like, nah, man, you gotta pick a better mark. Of course, his mark is then Luffy, and brings them into the circus kind of bit where we get Buggy and Alvida. Her still having the slip fruit and everything, so it's like, ooh, okay. She did get much, but they at least utilized her devil fruit powers a little bit and had Usopp and Nami have to kind of fight her as they're pretty much attempting to execute Luffy and working around the same way as the anime where Luffy is laughing and smiling. He's like, I'm dead! Before lightning strikes Buggy, and Smoker's looking at this and like, fuck, that's exactly what Gold D. Roger was kind of going for, and he is hell-bent on going after Luffy on this kind of shit. We get the whole kind of fight. Sanji gets kind of fucked over, and Luffy's almost taken out before we see Dragon being like, nah, man. We don't know exactly what his power set is, but it seems somewhat either related to wind or weather, as it's able to take Smoker away from them as they are escaping. So they are able to escape before we start getting set into the Grand Line. But we also got another little kind of surprise, as we saw Dragon was watching, and was like, okay, Dragon, this is kind of cool. This is kind of cool. In the back, we see that as he's watching, somebody comes out dressed, I'm thinking like Sabo. Now, I could be fucking insane, but it looked like Sabo. I was like, holy fucking shit! And that's not even the end of it, my friends. We are getting a lot of interesting kind of stuff seeded throughout, because we see that Bartolomeo was affected, and this, of course, starts his whole kind of Straw Hat fanboying kind of episodes, and where we'll eventually see him in Dressrosa, hopefully. I would, like, this show to actually get to certain kind of bits and do those kind of things, because we got a lot of good stuff here that's laying groundwork for that kind of stuff if Netflix doesn't Netflix the goddamn fucking thing. This show has no right to be as good as it is, but I'm going to take it what it is, because these people are doing good work and I'm loving what they're doing with it. So, now there is one quibble that I get. Some close-up shots are too goddamn fucking close-up. This happens mainly in regards to Little Garden and other kind of things where it's just like, it's like this. Kind of off-putting, isn't it? It'd be fucking freaky, man. See my pores and shit? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And we're refocused. Sorry about that, but it's just like, I can actually fucking do it. What are you doing? Alright, you bastard. Fucking notification. So, we got Sabo, we got Bartolomeo, we got Dragon. We're getting some big stuff going on, understanding what's going on here. We see that Port Custody Ace is being threaded as well. Going into a flashback to see Gold Roger and his kind of relationship with Garp, asking him to take care of his son, similar to what we've seen in regards to the anime. Also having Luffy name drop Dandadan, Dadan. Sorry, the show, it threw me off. As he was like asleep, because we see them get into the Grand Line, which is gnarly of what's going on in the Reverse Mountain. Luffy helping out. Two Money Muscles breaking pretty much their steering apparatus on the Going Merry, and then seeing the whale Laboon is like, oh god. And Crocus being played by the Blackfish from Game of Thrones just fit very well. Him and his relationship with Goldie Roger, and of course the Grimbar Pirates, and actually seeing Brooke. And I'm like, ooh, having Binks' brew and everything like that. And I'm like, I need to see this guy as a fucking skeleton, please. They hit it out of the park with him. He hit. I liked him. If you didn't, that's alright. That's cool. Fine. You don't like it, you don't like it. Cool. But he hit for me as we see the flashback and we see the Laboon's whole story. He followed them, and there's like sea monsters and stuff, and the pirates didn't want to get Laboon killed. So they pretty much left him with Crocus in the lighthouse. Changed up a little bit because Crocus is outside. The Going Merry gets swallowed. Luffy's trying to figure out how to get him out. This is, of course, where they then meet Ms. Wednesday and Mr. Nine. Yes. Inside, we get Sanji having a nice kind of fight scene as the dude pretty much knocks himself out. Ms. Wednesday is attempting to take over the ship, but gets knocked out as well, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. Zoro's idea was to make a big sword and hit the giant dangly thing, and Nami's like, the uvula? Oh, it's a girl whale. It's like, but the actors do it so well. It's like, yes, that's fucking Zoro. It's like, oh. And him attempting to save Usopp with the extra long sword, which is just cobbled together shit, and then it's breaking apart, and Usopp's like, I don't want to be put into the, like, acid, the stomach acid. Please help me, motherfuckers. Oh. It's like, yeah, I get it. You don't want that shit to go down. So let's see. And Tashigi fit very well, because even Zoro was like, God damn, Queena. But of course, Laboon's been there for 50 years. He's smashing his head, and Crocus has pretty much been trying to sedate him enough to stop doing this because he wants to find his friends. He actually looked into it and saw that his friends were dead, and he just wouldn't accept it. Is it? And just kind of like you, Luffy, because thinking that his friends are dead. They're not. So Luffy's trying to like fight him at first, but then he starts singing Binks' Brew to get him to get his friends out, and he does, and gets them out, and like, alright, we got these assassins, and Luffy kind of trusts Ms. Wednesday, not really much on Mr. Nine, as they kind of are finally given the log pose. She learns that, Nami of course learning that from Ms. Wednesday, and helping out. It's funny, Luffy broke down Crocus's door, and Usopp fixes it up and everything, and they're like, alright, let's kind of go. Luffy getting his gut instinct that Ms. Wednesday's fine, and she's like, you're a weird-ass fucking pirate. It's like, mm-hmm. And let's see. You see, of course, Whiskey Peak. We see that Ms. Wednesday and Mr. Nine escape. And, of course, we start learning all this stuff kind of going on. They're partying and everything before it's a Baroque Works town, and they're trying to kill everybody. Luffy, of course, eating pie and stuff like that, and getting into Ingram and Ms. Wednesday, learning about her being a princess of Alabasta, and she just fits very well with Vivi and fits in very well with the crew as this continues to go on for this season. Her utilizing the whole kind of like wires and wire tricks and everything like that just works pretty well. Ingram singing and doing this stuff and having the fucking guns in his hair as he sacrifices himself, taking on Miss Valentine and Mr. Five. But we've also seen that Nico Robin's in play. Ms. All Sunday. She's been looking around, seeing what's kind of going on, sees Mr. Seven being killed. Her introduction scene in the beginning was very well done as well, showcasing the use of her double fruit powers with her arms and everything, taking out pretty much all these Marines and doing her own kind of thing. It shows her more as a kind of loose cannon, but of course understanding that they're in Shellstown pretty much tracking down Zoro, and her just being like, alright, we have to see what this group is kind of doing. So we see that the Straw Hats are entrusted with Vivi to get her to Alabasta and figure out what's kind of going on with that, and to help her with her country and the whole kind of civil war that's going on. Baroque Works is involved, however, she doesn't know quite to the extent of what's going on. However, she has gotten information that is important. We don't learn it until the end of the season, but it works out that she has the identity of Mr. Zero, the head of Baroque Works. So, after they've pretty much survived their whole kind of ordeal on Whiskey Peak, we see that Miss All Sunday is warning them against Baroque Works, actually gives them an eternal log pose, which is a pose that is directed to one island. Otherwise, you would have to stay on an island, have your log pose pretty much try and figure out what kind of magnetic frequency it'll flash onto, and then go to that island. It's not guaranteed to go to any kind of specific island or route. That, of course, is still working within the lines of what is put into the anime and the manga. So, yes. Oh, sorry. You gonna autofocus on me, please? Okay, that's fucking weird, but I'll take it. So, she's offering them that way out. However, Luffy's like, eat my ass with a blade of grass and have a very Merry Christmas. Breaking it, and is like, no. So they pretty much get into Little Garden, and this is where, of course, some more Baroque Works comes into play. We get introduced to the Giants, the Red and Blue Ogres. Let me see. Brogy and Dory, yes. And of course, it still works into play, even echoing what we see of the Straw Hats, because we see Sanji and Zoro fighting over who is going to kill the biggest game on the island and have it for dinner, and them, of course, fighting over who killed this T-Rex, Zoro's slices or Sanji's kick. So they kind of get separated and everything. We see certain groups get in with Brogy. This is Usopp and Nami, and then of course Luffy and Vivi getting linked up with Dory, and learning more about what's going on. Luffy shared his lunch, but the dude eats the whole lunch. He's like, hey, I said you could take a bite, motherfucker. And after Luffy's pretty much eaten the entirety of the dude's kind of lunch that he was cooking as well. It's like, oh shit. And Vivi's like, what the fuck am I into right now? I mean, she still likes the people, but she's like, what the fuck? There is an adjustment period for joining the Straw Hats. And they do a very good job of integrating her in as we go through. So we get Mr. 3 popping up, Miss Golden Week, Ms. Valentine and, of course, Mr. Five kind of popping in for all this kind of stuff. We see Ms. Golden Week, of course, utilizing her hypnotic paints on Nami and Zoro, capturing them, maybe being like, oh, fucking shit, as she's able to get the paint off of Nami, as we get the whole kind of thing that Mr. 3 is attempting to do this elaborate kind of thing to kill them. They do also try and do the whole thing of Zoro cutting his legs off, which, thank you. It's important to show Zoro's conviction of, like, I will get myself out of here, and I will kill these motherfuckers, even if I have to take my own legs off. Greatest swordsman doesn't mean you need to have legs. I mean, arms would also help, but I mean, he's got 3-sword style. I mean, fuck, he'd probably even just, like, if he needed to, take off his arms and fucking put blades there, and he's a swordsman. That's how he kind of rolls. It's important. We also see that Sanji is able to get into Mr. 3's kind of house and is talking with Mr. Zero and kind of fucking with him a little bit disappointed that they don't have a file on him as he deals with the unluckies. I think it's Miss Friday and Mr. 13. That was a crazy-ass fight, as the fucking otter thing is fighting Sanji. He's like, what the fuck? Doing some nasty fucking kicks to the motherfucker. Before we see that, like, Usopp is trying to get help to deal with what's going on. And I like that he's got his fear and him talking with Brogy, because they had messed with the Giants fight, and Brogy looked like he had died. And Dory was like, fuck, this is wrong. But, of course, he gets encased in wax by Mr. 3, but Brogy's able to talk up Usopp and get him to be like, nah, I wouldn't trust a warrior that says they've never felt fear before. And then he gets out, he's able to help Luffy out a little bit, and they kick Miss Golden Week pretty much flacked with all of her paint as Luffy goes off, and he is attempting to fight Miss Valentine and Mr. 5 by himself, utilizing his smarts to get Miss Valentine to use her Kilo powers to crack open the wax and pretty much free most of them. Zoro's still kind of stuck with at least one foot, and he has a pretty good fight sequence with Mr. 5 as he's kind of blacked on, but Usopp's kind of knocked the fuck out. Not completely knocked the fuck out, but really getting his ass beat by Miss Valentine as we see everything kind of going on. And the dinosaurs were pretty well done here, too. I mean, you got to use your money effectively and your budget effectively, and they did it here. We get our, like, Brachiosaurus, we get our T-Rexes and stuff. But we see that Luffy goes after Mr. 3, and him doing what he needs to do and cracking his ass out, and we're like, yeah, alright, and is able to save Dory as well. And they decide to sail off to Alabasta, and of course helping out the Giants are able to take down the giant goldfish, which is completely hilarious, since Usopp has the whole story of fighting like a giant goldfish and hopping around on its shit and blasting it out. It's like, holy fucking shit. And of course this is where Usopp gets his kind of courage and wants to be a brave warrior of the sea like the warriors of Elbaf and wanting to go to Elbaf. And this helps him out later on in Enies Lobby, and I do know that in the manga they at least get to Elbaf as well. I still need to get the manga at a certain kind of point, and I'm still watching the anime as well, so I've not gotten any kind of point on that, but I'm like, I'm so looking forward to that shit. However, things are not all that well. Vivi's pretty much trying to be like, listen, just drop me off, I'll get another boat, and they're like, no, you're a friend, we're going to help you get to Alabasta and stuff. However, Nami gets sick. Now, we do not see the bug bite her here, but they still keep along that same kind of line here, as they need to stop off on Drum Kingdom to get a doctor. And this plays along the same kind of lines. Vivi accidentally getting shot, Luffy getting pissed off at that. We see it's a little bit changed here. Wapol is not, they do not encounter Wapol on their way there. Ms. All Sunday, Nico Robin, actually gives him his Devil Fruit powers here because of the financial support that Wapol has given to Baroque Works, and his island was attacked by Blackbeard. Very big name drop, very big interesting villain. Hopefully, of course, we will get into there as well. But that's where he gets his thing. We also get a flashback of that there's bad blood between Vivi and Wapol because of the Reverie, which is another interesting one. Of course, seeing all the kind of crazy stuff, seeing even the panda stuff throughout here is great. But he strikes her, and instead of kind of going after the bully, she just kind of like lets it off and does this whole kind of diplomatic kind of thing. Ingram really praising her for what she did, and she was also listening in on the reverie to see what's kind of going on, because we saw that everybody was talking about Dragon and all of these kind of rebellions and stuff, and Wobble being like, everybody should be grateful that I'm doing this, that, and the other's like, you fucking piece of fucking shit. Dalton also being involved in seeing what's kind of going on and being like, damn, this is not good. Of course, leading to seeing Dalton in the present and seeing what's kind of gotten him to this point, him not wanting to be a leader, but everybody pretty much making him to be a leader. And a really important thing is we see Sanji being very protective of Nami. Her having been asleep for pretty much 4 days. I mean, like, you need to eat Nami. And then getting to the island and her just getting worse and worse as Sanji and Luffy decide to take her up the mountain to the Witch Korea and try and get medical attention for her. And Luffy just barely taking his coat and everything. Him utilizing his head to save Sanji, Gum Gum style, and throwing him up there. It's like, save my friends. And we see that introduced to Tony Chopper, who has done very well. All the characters, I think, were done very well here, and I really liked how they kind of brought up everything. Like, the voice they got for Chopper, the effects that they did for Chopper, and also Chopper in his bigger human form. I like that they went for a costumed human and still having Chopper's voice acted for that. It's a harder thing to sell, and also kind of lining up the lip syncing, but I think that was the better kind of options, and it worked out pretty well. Seeing him kind of like, ooh, ooh, and everything, and then getting his backstory. His backstory is very heartbreaking. I love that they were able to translate that as well here. Who they got for Dr. Correa worked very well. I could have definitely seen Jamie Lee Curtis doing that because of her affinity for Dr. Correa and Tony Chopper, but they still did a good job here with Kitty Seagal. Seagal? Am I saying that correctly? Yeah, that was... Yeah, Seagal. No! Stop doing that, you fucking asshole. But Chopper's one just, like, I get with all the Straw Hats, but I've got an affinity for, like, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and him being the little blue-nosed reindeer and them being able to do his whole kind of story of him finding the kind of weird fruit being shunned by the reindeer as well. Sanji bringing up his mother here was a definitely interesting kind of twist, and bringing it more kind of why he was as freaked out for Nami being sick, because his mother was sick, and that... Hold on a minute. There we go. And that he's cooking for her and everything like that. That ignited his passion for cooking because he wanted to try and help her. That was very nice, and dropping some hints and everything for what could potentially be coming for him. I hope we kind of get there because they're just doing a good job with it for me. But seeing him get all together with Hiralock, I mean, Correa is pretty much like plot dumping it with it, but they do a pretty good job of that. And him trying to do this whole thing, seeing Dalton be very affected by Hiralock's death. Of course, Chopper accidentally bringing the poison mushroom, but Hiralock was dying anyway. I mean, he threw him out of his house because he didn't want to drop dead in front of his son. I mean, at first it was a friend, but he thought of him as his son. And Correa thinks of him as her son as well, with her send-off, because Hiralock was able to get and perfect his formula for turning snow into cherry blossoms. Dropping kind of a hint of potentially Wano, I believe, from what kind of, like, it was probably there as well in the anime / manga, but it's just so far back that you're like, oh shit, maybe. And then Wapol and the rest of his people come in, him creating his kind of monstrous kind of army of fusing people together. We get Chopper fighting and utilizing his form and helping Sanji out, and them kind of getting together, and their teamwork was pretty cool. Having to deal with like the fucking static electricity Velcro hair kind of dude. It's like, oh my god. And Nami just trying to not fucking get killed, while then Luffy and Vivi are able to take on Wapol, and Zoro and Usopp having to deal with those kind of monsters down under in the town, and Dalton popping up after he had pretty much almost been taken out by Wapol, but utilizing his Ox Devil Fruit powers as well. I'm like, yeah, keep that there. And the interesting thing is, we have Luffy, of course, putting up Herlock's flag because he respects it, and of course Wapol trying to destroy it and be like, nah. Of course, he accidentally destroys Nami's coat, and that becomes a problem later on, but we'll see how that kind of works. Well, not a big of a problem. He's going to have to pay Nami back about that kind of stuff. But the great thing is we then see Sanji and Chopper kind of prod in, and Sanji being like, I got to make up for Logtown, and doing this air assault to knock Wapol out. Now, the strange thing is, I was watching this with my mom, and she's like, why the fuck did those people, like, disintegrate and change back into their forms? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if Wapol was out of range, or got knocked out, or put into the sea. I mean, Wapol doesn't die in the anime, so I don't know why their whole thing kind of screwed over there. And of course, the whole thing with Herlock doing like his speech about like a man doesn't die when his body passes, but when he's forgotten when his dream disappears. It's like, oh shit. Of course, we then get transitioning. So everybody is happy, and we see that we have their kind of fight with Correa. Her, of course, leaving Chopper's little bag there. Chopper being like, I can't go with you guys. But Luffy is like, fuck that shit, join my crew! It's like, alright. And them doing the whole kind of slay down. Correa remarking about how Luffy reminds her of Gold D. Roger. And Dalton's like, Gold D? You mean Gold? Roger's like, you call him Gold? And it's like, doing the whole cherry blossom snow and everything was just very great. It's like, yes. And we see that Vivi is really still kind of affected. It's like, no, we're going to help you with Alabasta. And we see Chopper, oh god, Chopper crying about Herlock being able to achieve his dream just hits the same as the anime. Now, an interesting little bit is Zoro lifting him up and putting him on his shoulder. That was a kind of cool thing. I still think it's within the realm of Zoro's kind of thing, because we got that kind of stuff kind of going on with him and Usopp as well. Him worrying about the others, but Usopp being like, I'm worrying too, go do something more productive than this. He's like, alright, I'm going on watch. And then, of course, Usopp brings him a beer as kind of like a peace offering and stuff. It's like, oh, okay, before everything went to shit there. But it was just really nice, and we see Chopper get into his bag and bring out his little balls for his transformations and everything. It's like, yeah. And we see them work together with Vivi, and she's being like, I don't know if I can stay here with you guys and the danger and everything. I'm like, no, we're helping you out. And we see them playing around with Chopper and having fun. Luffy doing the whole kind of stick thing with his nose and mouth and all that. It's really kind of great. And him just having fun with Chopper. And Chopper's like, this is the most fun I've ever had. It's like, yay! But we then go towards the end, and Vivi's like, the important thing is that we found out the identity of Mr. Zero. We see that Smoker, we also look in, Smoker and Tashigi have done this as well. We do get a little bit of Kobe and Helmeppo kind of like talking with Tashigi, but that's the extent of those characters in this season. But Tashigi and Smoker fight some more Baroque works. Miss Thursday, Smoker fucking kills her ass. And Mr. 11, Tashigi's able to take him out without killing his ass and taking his sword. And they figure out, Smoker accidentally pretty much kills that dude too, but figures out that there was this communique that the Marines were able to intercept, and the Baroque Works agents were sent there to stop it and get that information and keep it from reaching the Marines, as BB has figured out that Mr. Zero is Crocodile, one of the warlords of the sea. And of course we see that going on, and that's Joe Manganiello. I'm pronouncing that wrong. He was in Magic Mike, and he was Alcide in True Blood. Oh, we're getting Bon Clay, Portgas D. Ace, Mr. One, and Ms. Doublefinger in Season 3. No. You fuck, he's introduced in Season 2. Give me... Oh, guest. Okay, so you put it as a guest. Fine. Fuck you. No. Huh? No. Where are you at? Fuck it. Alcide from True Blood. And seeing his wanted poster, and I liked how they did the kind of stuff with the Baroque Works kind of ones as well, but we see his wanted poster, his bounty canceled because he is a warlord, using it as a check, as we had heard during the Reverie flashback as well. And then, of course, having Ms. All Sunday as Nico Robin and her bounty of 79 million berries, and what's kind of going on. And they're both trying to do their own kind of ends, and that Crocodile is attempting to get the One Piece as well. So we'll see how that kind of works out, if that's changed a little bit or whatnot. Costuming on point, looks gnarly. The fight scenes were done pretty well when it wasn't completely focused in on like motherfuckers' faces. Too close up of shots on certain kind of things, but it worked pretty well. It was nice to see Buggy again. Sanji helping Luffy. Zoro's dumbbells were great. Oh, that was just so good. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here, and a lot of condensing and a better kind of interweaving of certain kind of things. Whereas we might not have gotten introduced to Bartolomeo in the beginning. Once we saw the kind of flashback scenes, since it's been running for a long enough time, this is where the adaptation work can do its best kind of thing. Condensing and reconfiguring certain kind of things into a better kind of pace and flow certain instances. I think that's where we'll get some interesting kind of stuff when they do the anime, where it kind of might change up certain kind of things. Maybe not take out all of the filler, because there's certain kind of things where there's technically filler, but it's utilized to flesh out characters. I'm liking what they're doing here. Now, if you don't, that's quite alright, and it's fine to vastly prefer the manga and the anime to this. I like this as another one that kind of helped me get my mom into it as well, and be like, yeah, this is actually pretty good, because the thing is, I'm like, I'm not gonna get into a fucking thing that's like over 1,000 episodes long, and then I got into the thing that was over 1,000 episodes long. I'm like, yeah. Yeah. But if people don't have that kind of time, this works out pretty well to like introduce them and get them into it, and like the story beats and everything. I wish that they had more episodes, because since the Straw Hats are the main kind of anchor characters, we potentially will run into a problem where they're going to have seasons needing to do it to set up more of what's going on with the world government and the Marines. Unless they're going complete antagonistical kind of route and just doing that. I mean, they are the antagonists, but you kind of also need to understand what their objectives and everything are, so you're going to have to kind of focus on them a little bit, and also focus on how that works with Kobe and Helmeppo and Garp, and what these kind, like, I like the balancing of there are good pirates and there are bad pirates. There are good Marines and there are bad Marines, and how that kind of works. If the world government, which is your organization and your authority, are telling you to do bad, stupid shit, also name-dropping the God Valley incident with Garp and Roger. Sorry, I remembered it. Ooh. What do you do in those instances? Same thing with the kind of pirates. Do you follow a captain that's going to be a giant dick, or do you go fucking fight that asshole? Or are you going to be like Luffy and be like, yeah, we'll do everybody's dream and like fight these motherfuckers that are being assholes and shitting on other people's dreams and make them come true, like Hirolock and Chopper and Correa. And it's like, yeah, I just had real enjoyment with this, and I'm like, yeah, I was excited waiting for it, and I'm like, yep, took it out and watched 4 episodes one day, 4 episodes the next, and I'm like, yeah. Now, if there's anything really more interesting that I missed, tell me in the comments below. I am always open to hearing more kind of Easter eggs that I haven't really, that I didn't really hit, or that I missed, or any kind of connections or whatnot. I'm definitely here for it, and I can't wait to see what kind of goes on. I hope they're able to do a lot of interesting stuff with this. I'm just waiting for Netflix to be stupid and be like, this sucks, and fucking cancels it. Even though it started off strong and is still going strong in my opinion. However, like that 90s show, it was a little bit like, what? And then it got into its stride, and then they're like, we canceled it. It's like, alright. Because some shows take a while to kind of get to certain kind of places. And you cannot expect the first season to be a blast out. That is the exception, never the rule. Now, I don't mean that you have like a complete and utter shit fucking season and just auto-renew it, but sometimes you're like, if there's promise, and there's people like, I'll watch it again if you do this, that, or the other. Alright, but never expect infinite growth. This is for people that would be interested in the Pirates and are interested in another adaptation of One Piece. Do not expect 1 billion fucking people to just tune in and continue to tune in out of no fucking where just for reasons. Ooh, it's funny. Solve the close-up stuff and make sure that Netflix doesn't Netflix the thing, and you're good. Now, would it still take a good bit, and you'd almost have to do it at a kind of rate that you need to go a lot faster than what you're doing? I mean, it took them 3 fucking years. I mean, the character, like, you're going to age the actors out too much, especially if you're trying to at least even, if they stopped at the time skip, fine. But if you go past that, you would, they were longer than the time skip between these seasons, motherfucker, shit. So we'll see. There's everything logistic around the show is more of the problem than the show itself. The actors know what they're doing and are into the roles. The directors, the showrunners, the content, they know what they're doing. They're hitting for it. Well, they're at least hitting for me. If you don't agree with that, that's cool. That's awesome. That's fine. You're like, fuck this shit. Okay, cool. For what I'm seeing, that's all hitting on all cylinders and just seeing the kind of craziness that ensues. I'm worried about everything around it. So we'll see. So those are my opinions on the season. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.